of those at the freshers at the end. And then also I passed around an evaluation. Did anyone not get one evaluation? So you can just, and at the end, just leave them at the table or just leave them on your chair. So today we have Marta Getz, Amy Forte, Janita Thomas, Heidi Tandy, BG Grant. BG's not here. Okay, sorry. Okay, so Marta is a social worker at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center in the Division of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics. She is a Leadership Education in Neurodevelopmental and Related Disabilities Program 4 faculty member in the field of social work. She works with families, students, faculty to help navigate the complicated social systems and resources. Amy Forte has been a registered nurse at Cincinnati Children's Hospital for almost 20 years. She is a service coordinator for the Children with Medical Handicaps program, serving patients and families within the Division of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics through the Center for Spina Bifida Care. Amy also has experience in navigating Cincinnati Children's by having an adult child with chronic medical needs. We are glad she is here to provide her perspective as both a nurse and a parent to help us all become better coordinators of care for children in our lives. So Janita Thomas, she is a registered nurse at Children's Hospital for 13 years. She started her nursing career in the Specialty Resource Unit pool in 2006, where she cared for patients on all inpatient units, emergency room, and intensive care. She began her outpatient career in 2014 with pulmonary medicine, and for the last year, she has been working as a role of service coordinator for the Children with Medical Handicaps program. Here she serves patients and families within the Division of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics through the Center for Spina Bifida Care. Janita has 2 daughters. Her youngest, with special needs, keeps her busy at the medical center on her days off with various appointments. Heidi is a parent of 2 children and 1 amazing kiddo on the autism spectrum. She participated in the CCHMC Family Navigation Research Project. Heidi's professional background in her higher education and leadership program. She is passionate about helping caregivers take their next step. I'll let you guys take it home.
Okay, so today I thought we'd start with a little quiz, and don't worry, everybody's going to do just fine. But just want to find out information you guys are coming in with. So for the first question, we have children with special health care needs. Is it true or false they are medically complex? What would you guys say? True. Correct. So we do know that children with special health care needs, their needs, they include more than just the physical. They definitely involve multiple body systems, emotional, developmental, social concerns, and behavioral issues as well.
Our next true or false, children with special health care needs don't require a primary care physician, so your pediatrician or your primary care. Is that true or false? Very good. Correct. So a PCP is needed to monitor changes in growth and development. They'll also place referrals to specialties as needed. Routine care, things like just your everyday illnesses, vaccines, things like that. Still very important to have that primary care issue first.
Next question, true or false, children with special health care needs can have a team of multiple providers? That is true. Definitely, you all can think of your own child or the children that you're caring for. It can have multiple providers. One of the research studies we were looking through to prepare this said you can have up to 16 doctors within 1 year's time period. If you guys think of nurse practitioners, dietitians, social workers, therapists, everyone that you're involved with, you definitely can have multiple teams of care providers.
children with special health care needs, true or false, will receive a care coordinator assigned to them for care at Cincinnati Children's Hospital.
I hope it's true.
Okay. This is a big possible. It's possible. It's possible that your child will receive a care coordinator assigned to them for care at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. So it's not something automatically assigned to you. So this is where, being an advocate for your child is going to be huge. So we're going to talk about things like that today.
So overall, we did talk about that children that are medically complex, you do require a primary care physician, you can have that multiple team of providers, but also because of everything that's involved, you can definitely receive benefits from having a care coordinator. So we'll talk about on the next slide. This definition comes from the Maternal Child Health Bureau. I will just read the definition. It says, care coordination is a process that links children with special health care needs and their families to services and resources in a coordinated effort to maximize the potential of children and to provide them with optimal health care. So that's just a really nice definition, kind of tie in to show you what the definition of the role of a care coordinator is.
Now, some of the benefits to care coordination encourages open lines of communication. This ensures that all providers involved are aware of significant changes, needs, and concerns. So having that open communication is a huge benefit. This can help to avoid duplicate testing, procedures, and lab work. If everyone's talking, we're not, double performing blood draws and things like that. And then it builds a connection with patient and family. You can watch patients grow from infancy into adulthood with that care coordination. What is a care coordinator? So the care coordinator, their goal is to serve as a point of contact. So I know in our role with our patients with spina bifida, we encourage parents to reach out to us. If you're unsure of who you should direct your question to, feel free to always give us a call. We might not necessarily know the answer, but we'll find out who does, and then we'll make sure follow-up happens on the end once we give you that appropriate information. They're going to monitor your child's progress and notify appropriate providers of updates and concerns, so keeping that communication within the providers as well. The care coordinator will also help to monitor the big picture. Again, how we talked about everyone knowing what's going on, and assist with the direction of scheduling appointments. So sometimes on the back end, we can't necessarily schedule appointments, but we know the right people to reach out to try and coordinate those visits. So you're not making quite so many trips to the hospital, but we can try to finagle things in one day. We do our best to do that.
So what do you do if you don't have a care coordinator for your child? That's why we're here today, to help you all become one. So this slide is just gives you nice information about, there's different medical terms that are used within Children's Hospital and even outside in the educational setting as well. But it's information that you guys are going to need to know how to speak to the doctors, know what terms they're using, and if there's any question at any time, definitely ask them to clarify those meanings of those abbreviation terms that they're using.
It can be frustrating to have people speak to you in abbreviations and not really understand what's going on. So Janetta found this great book to learn the terminology.
Yeah, this is one that I like. It actually goes in depth about all medical terms. It goes over educational terms, and then you also have terms for legal setting. If there are things that are going on, it'll help to identify and tell you exactly what's going on. So there are multiple books out there on the market. This is just one that I like. There's also websites. I would say you can Google medical terminology. You can get information that way as well. But it is nice to be able to have a reference to go to.
And I know some of you were looking for the PowerPoint in your book. We had to submit our PowerPoint 3 weeks ago to get a book. And so, like so many people we were working on this until last week. So it doesn't identify that. That's why.
But we can get them to you.
Bear with us.
All right. So at Cincinnati Children's, each department we have our own unique way of how we operate, how we answer our phones, how registry works. If the department you are calling has a nurse coordinator or care manager, they can manage kind of everything. From health issues, school issues, refills, scheduling. And again, like I said, if we don't know the answer, we can get you to the right person to get that answer. So the big thing, when you guys do call and you don't immediately reach someone, when you do leave a voicemail, it's very important that you state your child's name and date of birth. And if there's any special way that you spell the name or a difficult spelling or something that's a common misspelled name, spell that out for us as well. It's always important too, if you're as in-depth as possible when you do leave a voicemail. There are secured lines, we all have our own codes to get our messages. And also leave a callback number, because sometimes phone numbers change, and we go by what's in our computer system, and we don't have the most updated number, then it's difficult for us to reach back out to you.
I would add into the callback number, some people like to leave information and say, if you can please call me back between 12 and 1 because I'm on my lunch break. That's kind of hard sometimes just because we do have meetings, we have clinic, there are other things going on. So if you're able to give like a range of call, like maybe after 1, and then we have more time to reach you, that would be helpful as well. So this slide, who should I call? This 636-4200 is the main Children's Hospital operator number. That number will get you to everywhere that you need to go within the hospital. You can get all satellite locations, Liberty, scheduling, testing. That number is a good number to know by heart. It's also monitored 24/7, so you can get to someone anytime that you need. And then the information for any after hours or urgent calls, if you're needing to get to a doctor who's on call, that's the number that you would call, the 636-4200. And then you would just ask for that physician on call for whatever the department is that you're having issues with. They'll page them and then they'll get back to you. We do note that you should be able to have a 30-minute time to call back. So if it's an urgent need to where you need 911, definitely call 911. But if it's something that's going on, you're just not sure and you're able to wait up to 30 minutes for a call back from a doctor, then that's what you would use that number to page the physician on call.
And this is not a number to be called for things like refills and things like that. That should go directly to the department. But again, like Janetta said, more urgent needs. So kind of to touch on the urgent care, emergency type care, we did set on everyone's seats these little half sheets of paper. These are just some things you might possibly experience at home with your kiddo. You're just not for sure. Do I go to urgent care, or is the emergency room appropriate? So it sort of kind of highlights what our recommendations are. Oftentimes, like at Liberty, we do have urgent care as well as the emergency room. So a lot of times they'll triage you at the front desk and let you know what's more important. So the different satellites have things set up differently, but this little cheat sheet will kind of help you gauge, is this something emergent and you need to go to the ER, or is the urgent care more appropriate?
The second number that's up there is the hospital main scheduling line. That's the 636-3200. We gave your second handout this patient scheduling pad. At the hospital, it is on a green sheet. We ran out of green paper, so ours are blue. But it's basically the same information, and it will definitely get you to all the scheduling. So if you don't have this on hand, or if you don't know your department's number by heart, call 636-3200, and it'll get you to the correct area to schedule.
All right, some other helpful numbers. Concierge scheduling. And we have the hours there Monday through Friday, and their phone number here. They also have an email. Concierge is helpful when 2 or more appointments need to be scheduled. They can also work with medical records to obtain outside records for new referrals, and with guest services to arrange lodging for out-of-town families. We do use this feature a lot when we schedule with our patients, because oftentimes they need multiple divisions, and they can kind of help us try to coordinate the visits so that we can get them hopefully either in the same day or kind of a good proximity to each other, so that families aren't making so many trips. So to avoid calling every division separately, concierge scheduling is a huge help. And this is our blue sheet we talked about.
So other helpful things at the hospital, we down on A1, that main concourse level. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 8:30 p.m. If your child is admitted into the hospital with your badge, you can also swipe into there after hours once they close up until 11 p.m. at night. So at the Family Resource Center, there's just a little quieter area sometimes if you need to take a break. There are sleep rooms in there. There's a kitchenette, they have a microwave, ice machine. There's no food in there. Sometimes they have snacks like popcorn and chips and that kind of thing, but you can definitely bring in food from the cafeteria to eat in the Family Resource Center. So it's kind of nice, I say, a more quiet place than if you're in between appointments and you need somewhere to take a break. It's definitely open to you. There is a location up at Liberty as well. Theirs is more based on staffing, so don't think that that's a given that they're open every day. It's a smaller area, but they're offered the same amenities there as well.
So some of our families who are inpatient really utilize it, to continue to work. They need to fax things in the office. They do have all that capability.
It's all free.
Something to add, family, I'm sure everyone knows about the critical care tower. It's gigantic across the street from the hospital. Part of the critical care tower is we're opening a sibling center through the Family Resource Center in conjunction with Child Life. So the full-blown sibling center will not open until the tower opens, but they are going to, through the Family Resource Center in July, they're going to do a really soft beginning of a rollout to see what do families need, how can we use this, what would this look like, how do we support siblings, what's going on next door, how do we support siblings of patients during, it's for inpatient admissions. So right now, it's just going to be at base. We'll see if it expands to any of the other locations. So if you have any input, feedback for that, the Family Advisory Council for the hospital is seeking family feedback.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about when issues arise. So if you do have any issues within the institution, we do have family relations, there are patient advocates, that they are a link between you and the hospital staff with a question or concern. We highly encourage you to reach out to them, compliments as well. Just sort of will help, especially if there are any concerns. Also, family financial advocates. They're a huge resource here at the hospital. They assist with insurance benefits, billing, prescription assistance as well. Now, neither one of these departments are clinically trained, so do keep that in mind. It's important to know that medical-related questions are not going to have answers to. But huge resources that we encourage all of our families to utilize if they do have any concerns. Concerns with medical bills and prescription coverage as well.
With the family relations, don't feel bad about calling them. If something's going on with your child and you feel like something's not right, maybe a provider, something's happening there, they're definitely there. They're the link between you and then the providers, the team behind, so they can investigate and see what's going on and try to get down to the root of the problem. Also with compliments, they are able to, if you want to recognize maybe a nurse, social worker, dietitian, anyone who's done like a really good job for your child, you may know there are different awards within the hospital that are given out to employees, but family relations can help you submit that information so you can provide the recognition that you'd like to.
So I think Heidi's going to talk a little bit about as a family and trying to advocate for your child, you're going to be asking a lot of questions. And one of the big places for family relations is, I'm a parent and I'm asking questions and it feels like the medical team provider, maybe they're not hearing my question, am I not asking it correctly? It's another place to go to kind of talk through that with somebody. And then on that other end, they have the ability to kind of reach out within the departments, not reach out to us, and say, so the family called, this is their concern, it doesn't look like that's really what, the doctor's answering, but they're not communicating the same thing. Can you help us communicate this is family's concern? So it might just bring in other team players who are there anyways, but it does kind of help you if you feel like you're not being heard or your question that you have is not being answered. It is a place to go to make sure your questions can be answered and that everyone understands what your question is.
Okay, so next up is my chart. How many people in this room with a show of hands have access to my chart? Okay. All right, So my chart, I really feel personally it's a wonderful thing. You can communicate with the healthcare team. We do ask for 48 hours. I reply to patients with that. I also use it for my own children. You can view results. They are released by an automatic process. So I have found this to be extremely helpful as my child's transitioning to adult world. Being able to have access to all those test results. You know, it has your medications as well, immunizations. Having that in an app on the go or on your computer is a valuable resource because, you know, you're not waiting for phone calls to get information faxed to you or whatnot. Have it at the palm of your hands. You can also view upcoming appointments. You can also see past appointments as well as visit summaries. So instructions, you know, can include some things such as like medication instructions. You know, you're supposed to increase and this is how you do it. So it's nice to always have that. You're given an after visit summary typically after you leave, but sometimes we all know we misplace those papers. But you always have that in your MyChart app. You are also sometimes able to
Not the best
schedule
day ever. I didn't even
visits.
know you didn't, sweetheart. Except I did, which makes me a terrible person.
I will fix the door.
I don't know what's
Best day ever. I
happening.
didn't even know you didn't.
Didn't, sweetheart.
Except I did, which makes me a terrible person.
I will fix the door. What's wrong with making life a little easier for Ginger?
Exactly. It's like he does so much. He does something like all I
So
do.
some of our divisions at Children's Hospital are able to
That's all I
schedule
think.
appointments.
You have nothing to feel guilty about.
Don't go wide. It's one day. You can have fun without your brother.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, this is all I. Oh,
Turn it off.
Raise your comments. I have a couple things about my chart. So we know with the phone calls, when you guys call in, for the most part, most departments will return a phone call within 24 hours time period. We do ask that you give 24 hours for a call. When you call in, a lot of departments do have an urgent line if you need to speak with the nurse during business hours right away. Sometimes that does go to a voicemail as well, but on that urgent line, the nurses are responsible for calling back the next day. My chart, like Amy said, you have up to 48 hours, but it's really good just because sometimes, like I'm up in the middle of the night sometimes, I know I'll maybe as well, but thinking about things with your child and you want to send a message real quick before you forget about it the next day, my chart is really good for that as well.
So this is definitely not a tool for emergencies or urgent needs. So just do keep that in mind. I did mention how test results, most are released by an automatic process. Sometimes the doctor does indicate not to release them, but sometimes you will see the results before your doctor sees the results. So just keep that in mind as to why you might already know there's something, a fracture, but your doctor hasn't called you yet to tell you. I had an instance where I had my own kiddo in urgent care, and I got the results before they actually came in the room that she had a broken arm. So do keep that in mind that sometimes you get that information even before providers do.
So if you need assistance with my chart, there's a phone number that you can call, 636-5019. They're also available by email. But they can definitely help you with the sign-up process. So at any of your outpatient appointments, you're able to get signed up for a My Chart account. You can also contact them if you have further questions there. Just a side note for any foster parents, you are not allowed access to My Chart just because it has to be a legal guardian. So you do have the proxy information though for children ages 13 to 17. They have to give permission to allow their parents to view information. So parents can be added on to their child who's between ages of 13 and 17 to be able to access their information.
So as soon as your child turns 13, all of a sudden you'll no longer see anything in the My Chart. So you might think, what in the world, where did my kiddo go? Your child actually will have to sign permission at that point to allow you to have that proxy for your child's My Chart.
for any children with developmental disabilities though, during that age, there is a physician acknowledgement that can be signed, which would allow then you to have access to their MyChart account. This is a new app. It's fairly new. It's been new in the last year or so. Karen. So it's an app that you can download. It's a free download through either Google Play or your App Store. But with it, you can get information as far as parking. So when you park, you can get a parking spot reminder. For surgeries, like same-day surgery information, you can get real-time updates of how your child is doing. I know, like, when you're waiting in same-day surgery, they have it up on the board, but it can also be sent through your app to keep a note as well. And then also there's a neat feature, if you get lost, which frequently people do within the hospital, it's big, it'll give you step-by-step instructions of how to get to a certain department. So you put your starting location in there, and then say where you're trying to get to, and it will give you pictures step by step of where you need to turn, what building you should be seeing, what doorway. It's kind of neat, but it is a helpful app for you. And Heidi's going to share her information with us.
So my name is Heidi Candy, and that is my son Isaac. That picture is incredibly special to me because that picture was taken 6 weeks after he was diagnosed with autism in September of 2016. And so I love being here talking to parents and families and professionals, but my number one priority is at home with, we call him Team Tandy. Tandy is our last name, and it's my privilege to be able to be Isaac's care coordinator. But that's also an incredible challenge, right, for those of you that serve in that space. And so I'm a little intimidated by talking to all of you today in terms of sharing my own experience, because I know all of our journeys are different. And so some of the things that I experience and that I share may not be exactly congruent to your story, but I just want to share 3 helpful shifts that have been very helpful for me as a parent and as Isaac's care coordinator in our first 2.5 years post-diagnosis. So some of you maybe have done this thing a whole lot longer than me, and so I want to acknowledge that too, but maybe something that I will share today will be helpful that you can kind of take away as a next step. I did do that video that they showed in the main session with Elizabeth, so participated in family navigation for a year from 2017 to 2018. And so I am incredibly pro-action plan. So everything that I'm going to say practically, I think there can be an action plan that goes with it. Okay, so yes, I'm still learning and growing, and even, I want to acknowledge, I'm even grieving. We have parts of our stories that we grieve, and so even this week, how many of you have a kiddo that's on spring break? Anybody got a spring break? Yeah. Spring break is hard, and breaks can be so challenging for our kids, and so there's some things that even this week I'm processing as a parent, and yeah, so I'm in there with you. Okay, so shift 1 that I want to talk about today. So a shift that's happened in the last couple years from navigating everybody else's feelings about my son and his diagnosis to simply just protecting our team. So my team, our family is myself and my husband, my son, and my daughter. And so some of your families may look different than that. That's my initial team. And so I think as soon as my son was diagnosed, and as I was trying to wrap my head around all these different care pieces, I think I tried to own everybody else's experience. So like, what are grandparents thinking, and how can I educate grandparents, and how can I like talk to my siblings about this or whatever? But the truth is, like, I had to let some of that go and simply just focus on our team for a while. And so some of that's my own personality. Some of you may be like, I don't struggle with that, but like, I have a tendency to just own everybody else's process. My responsibility is my child, and those education pieces will come, and in some ways have come, but that's continually part of the process. One of the things that Elizabeth talked about in the main session this morning was identifying barriers. So a barrier for me could be trying to please everybody else. And so I have to really just focus on our family. A practical barrier for me in my action planning is phone calls. I hate phone calls. And there's a lot of days where I would have and do have multiple phone calls to make. And so there are times when having an action plan and really staying organized about who I need to call and then what I need to kind of say pause on is really helpful for me. So that's shift one, from navigating everybody else's feelings and processes to just protecting our family and my own care coordination kiddo. One thing that you said, Amy, that I really appreciated, don't apologize for questions, right? We have a lot of questions, and so if you have a question, don't sit on it. You have tons of tools within the Cincinnati Children's system, and you should never just sit on a question thinking, well, I just don't have the answer. There is somebody that can help you, and sometimes it can be, we have to be resilient to get those question answered, and that's okay. So yeah, I love what you said about that.
And there's never a dumb question.
Absolutely.
I have parents say all the time, okay, I've got a dumb question for you. It's not a dumb question, your mom, you know
Yeah.
your kiddo, your dad, you know your kiddo. You tell me what's concerning you.
Yeah.
So that's very important. Don't ever hesitate to call for a question, no matter how minor you think it is. That's what we're there for.
Even if the question is about one of those abbreviations, if you don't have time to Google it or look at that book, just say, I'm sorry. Like, I had a really hard time at the beginning. I feel like everybody threw around the DDBP, and I'm like, one, I don't know what it stands for. I think I just finally got it right in my head. Just like different like therapies, OT, PT. I called speech the wrong thing for a long time. It's not an ST, it's an SLP, whatever. I get it's okay to not know all those things all at once. It is a huge learning curve. Yeah, don't apologize for those questions. Okay, shift 2. From managing everything all at once to managing one thing at a time. So my background is, like they said at the beginning, is in higher education, and I taught high school students how to take the ACT for 5 years. And so one thing I always said to them was, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And then they would push back and say, well, you're not eating an elephant, I'm a vegetarian, but that's separate. High school students are awesome. But yeah, I think a lot of times I kind of go into my days or go into a day where I know I have a lot of coordination to do, and I try to do everything all at once. And the truth is, some days it is only manageable for me to do one thing at a time. Like if I can make one phone call, if I can schedule one appointment. And some of you, I get it, are managing a lot more appointments probably than I am, but sometimes we have to figure out what is that one bite for me. So right now, I have some behavior